Hi, beautiful being. Oneness evolving here in my front garden where everything is starting to bloom. So I'm not going to waste any time. Before I go in and tell you what the 0 point field and I have been writing about this morning, I'm going to show you the world. Because as you can see, it's colourful and the Spiraxis have begun. And yeah, we had some wild weather here. Fortunately, you can see over there the freesias are quite flattened. But no, they'll come back. It was very wet, very, very windy. So all the same, we have flowers happening here, and I'm just gonna show you so you can enjoy them. And look close up, bright, beautiful red Spiraxis. And beautiful, beautiful blue Cineraria. And somebody is mowing their lawn in the background, and that's always a sound I kind of enjoy. It's kind of a Saturday afternoon sound, because that's when people used to mow their lawns. And here is sedum. There you go. Now you've got some focus. I just enjoy these. They're common as mud, but they're really nice. And the Muscari, the grape hyacinth, is still going like bananas. It's going crazy. And we have lots and lots of beautiful bright yellow calendula. And these ones have the dark centre. And then there's another plant here where they don't. They've got a bright yellow centre, and I really enjoy that. So, and there you go. You've got one of each. So it's all happening here. And I'm just enjoying the abundance of the flowers, and I hope you are too. And this is where you can see all of these yellow freesias got rained. They got flattened. They're still here, but you got to pick them up because everything's still quite wet. But aren't they gorgeous? So, yeah, this is the outside world. And in general, if I just do a quick walk around, you can see that the Cineraria are starting to explode into colour. Next week it's going to be very bright out here. And off it goes. This is spring. And I want you to see these rather rain-drenched white violets, but they're very pretty. And we look up here, and again you can just see more and more colour coming out. And the bluebells are happening, which is very cool. I love it when the bluebells come out because they're just such massed colour. So it's all happening. It's all happening here. This is the time of year when this garden explodes. And look at all of this spring foliage now. And then you go up and there's the callfly. There's a few tui flitting around in there. They mostly seem to be resting, but they're feeding up there on the right. And that one up there is just sitting. I don't know if you can see it, but there are birds. It's Tui festival time. There's lots of food for them. Come back down here. You can see my coriander and the little roses and the little not primroses, the little violas and the lilies starting to come up here. So it's all happening. Now let's go inside and I'll tell you what I've been doing this morning. I can get away from the thumping bass of the builders next door, which probably doesn't bother you, but I do find it really distracting. So here we go, peace and quiet inside the house. And there's the sun, and I'll probably need to take off a layer. The weather can't make up its mind whether it's cold or warm. And that's spring in Wellington for you. So let's drop that in its place. I'm here, and now I can tell you what's going on. I've been writing with the 0 point field because I never write alone. I never walk alone. I never write alone. Excuse me, I've got to get this camera organised. It's all wonky. So I've been writing and about the enteric nervous system. Excuse me, because I've been talking in the last week or so. I finished off talking about the heart compass. Not that you ever really can stop talking about the heart compass because it's kind of the centre of everything. But humans have 3 compasses in their body. One of them's in your brain. It's the brain you use to navigate your life, and everybody knows about that one. But many people, I don't know if it's most, many people don't know that you have a brain in your heart, and there's also a really big brain in your gut. In fact, if you want to talk about how many neurons there are, it's got 100 million neurons, and the only brain that's bigger is the one in your head. So your enteric nervous system, which is its proper name, ENS for short, is a really cool piece of equipment. And it's pretty important because if you think of just the human body as an organism, after breathing and being able to drink water, getting food so that the body has energy to run is actually right up there in the importance. And that means taking something that's outside your body and putting it in your body and being able to break it down and get energy out of it and get rid of the stuff you don't want. And that's a fairly complex process, and we call it digestion. And your enteric nervous system runs that. That's a big deal, really. It's amazing what your enteric nervous system does. And so I've been looking at just really basic level, top level anatomy, because I thought, well, where is my gut brain? Where does it live? What does it look like? And if you think about your intestines, and you're not supposed to talk about, try living life without your intestines. It's really hard. Intestines are amazing things, and they have layers. 4 essential simple layers. Hi, lovely people. It's great to see you on. And your enteric nervous system has it's about 100 million neurons, and I don't know if it's 50-50, but those 100 million neurons are arranged into 2 distinct plexuses. Hi, Susan, lovely to see you. And each one of those plexuses does different things, and they innervate, it's the big word, they connect up with 2 of the internal layers of your gastrointestinal tract. And you might be thinking, what's this got to do with having my gut telling me which way to go in my life? Well, it does, but I don't want this to be magic. I actually want to understand why it is that we feel things in our gut, and it turns out there are reasons. And if you understand that there are reasons why you feel things in your gut, then it makes it just a little bit easier to understand what you're feeling in your gut. And over time, you learn to use that information to navigate your life. So because the 0 Point Field and I are writing this as it's like, we can't just brush over this. We need to actually understand what this thing is really simply. I'm not into the deep detail because lots of other people are doing that. I want to understand how it works for me. Because my gut is actually my most powerful tool when I'm confused. And I know how to use it. But I'm taking this opportunity to actually find out for myself how it works. Because then I can explain it better to you. Because I'm not the only person who gets confused or, bumped off or think, what the hell am I doing here? Lots of people have that situation. So I want to do a good job of explaining it. That's why I'm talking about the enteric nervous system. And the enteric nervous system is an amazing thing. Like I say, 100 million neurons. Some of them form, and I'm not even going to go to the names of the plexuses, but there's one plexus that makes the muscles in your intestines contract and squeeze, and that makes your food move through. And the other plexus says, we need to digest, we need to squeeze out some mucus here, we need to release some water, we need to release some electrolytes, we need to absorb some water, we need to absorb some nutrients. It controls all the stuff that actually goes on. And between them, the plexus that makes things move and the plexus that organizes the digestion, they have to communicate with each other. And they also communicate with the automatic part of your nervous system that runs your entire body for you. And it's really amazing. And I wrote about this a while ago, but I'm writing about it differently and very briefly now. The key thing to know about your autonomic nervous system, because I got some numbers, the average human male body, right? I think it was 75 or 100 kilos. I don't know, but it was an average human male body. has been estimated is made up about 37.2 trillion cells. Now, in each one of those cells, there's about 100 billion chemical reactions that happen every single second. So if you take 37.2 trillion cells and you multiply that by 100 billion chemical reactions, that is 37.2 and a lot of zeros of chemical reactions that have to be controlled and organised every single second in every single cell of your body for you to live. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't do that. My autonomic nervous system does that for me. It's an incredible, incredible system. It's amazing. And people used to say that the autonomic nervous system had two branches, a sympathetic one, which does the fight or flight things, you're going to defend your territory or run away from danger, and the other one, which is called rest and digest. Well, it's time to eat food, it's time to heal up, it's time to relax and be with people. But actually now it's acknowledged that the autonomic nervous system has a third branch, and that is this. The enteric nervous system is the third branch of the autonomic nervous system because it's so big and it's so important, because having a source of energy is kind of important for keeping the body alive. So that's some really interesting information about the enteric nervous system. At least it was really interesting for me. Now, the thing about, now I had a little surprise because, when you think about that stupid number of how many things go on in each cell in your body, 1 second, and how on earth is that going to be coordinated? And I was sitting there writing and thinking, well, of course the 0-point field does it. And I wrote something to that effect, and it said, no, that's wrong, because it does that. It pulls me up really quickly as soon as I write something that just doesn't resonate as true. It said, no. Remember, there is this pattern of coherence, and you see it in the rose and the spiral of the cactus and the spiral of the hurricane and the spirals of a galaxy. You see it at all scales in our universe, from the very small to the very large, and you see it in atoms and protons and everything else too. And this pattern, which the 0-point field has said, it's the pattern of our love, because it's not just the 0-point field that has this, we all do, because that pattern informs the very structure of every single atom, proton, and subatomic particle that is in existence. It's all built on this pattern, which is the pattern of love, which is the pattern of coherence. And the 0-point field said, I don't even have to make your autonomic nervous system work. The organization, the order, is built in. It comes from the very smallest, it comes from the unified field, it comes from the way that energy structures itself into matter. It's automatic that it is self-organizing, and it creates complexity and more organization and more order, and it just keeps doing that and getting more and more amazing. And when you look, that's why when you look through nature, you see the same patterns, and it's incredible, and you start to recognize the unity of everything. And this is what matter's made of, and there's more and more, there's more physics and more experimental evidence showing all the time that this is actually how it is. And that same order has quite recently, in the last 2 or 3 months, been shown to structure everything from the tiny subatomic particles all the way up to the tubulin that's inside the neurons that are in our brains. And those neurons, the structure of and it could be anything, but those neurons, they've worked out the resonance of those neurons and how it relates to the much higher, much faster, enormous resonance of the 0-point field. And there's a direct relationship, and they do the mathematics, and it all comes out to things that have been measured, like the frequency, the rotational speed of a proton, the frequency of a benzene ring, a ring of which is a bunch of carbon molecules, and they're all connected together, and there's hydrogens and bits and places. They know the frequencies of these things have been measured, and when they plug all of the necessary values into the maths that they worked out for these different things, it comes out that that the mathematics gives the same answer as what's been experimentally observed, which is really cool because it shows that this is what matter's made of and how it's structured. It's just amazing. And the point being, that's what makes the autonomic nervous system stay organised. The only reason it gets disorganised is when we, as humans, do something that makes us feel incoherent or be incoherent. And that if you keep being incoherent, your body will get incoherent, you get sick. If you create more coherence, your body should get better. And people are doing that. Again, there's science to show how this works. So that's what I was writing about today, because this is that the enteric nervous system, I don't believe in dropping in isolated facts. And when the 0 Point Field and I started writing about this, was like, well, we have to explain this in a way that it's not just, oh, believe me, it's like this. Okay, let's have a little context. And I was sitting there looking at this quite a useful little schematic of how the whole nervous system works and thinking, do we need to put all that in? It's just going to be too complicated. Because the point is, this is about how to navigate your life. And there is more that it's like probably about this point in the writing. People are going to read it and think, what the hell's this got to do with using my gut as a compass? But if you don't understand how the tool you are operating actually works, it's a lot harder to operate it. So it's like you got to hang in with us here. There is more to come because we've explained that the basic thing of the enteric nervous system, and here it is, it's part of the autonomic nervous system. The thing is that the gut and the brain talk to each other all the time, and in fact there's more information flowing between the head, the brain and your brain, and the brain in your gut than there is between any two other locations in your body. By none. There's just so much chatter going back and forward because, from an evolutionary point of view, digestion is really important. But there's also immunity going on. There's just a whole lot of stuff going on. So there's the gut-brain connection that we've got to explain enough that you can appreciate it a little bit. And then how that happens, how it is that your brain and your gut communicate, is there's a thing called the vagus nerve. In fact, there's two of them. You've got one on each side. And I think it's the 12th cranial nerve. And it's called vagus because vagus comes from vague, which means wandering. And so this nerve is really long and it wanders all over your body. And it literally connects with your brain, with your gut, and with a bunch of other things, your heart, probably your lungs. I don't know. It connects a whole bunch of stuff with your brain. So it's like this super highway for information between your brain and your body. So we're going to talk about the vagus nerve just a little bit so you understand. Okay, there is just this massive communication cable. It's a really important nerve. It regulates so much stuff in your body that sometimes people get vagal dysregulation. And oh my God, it's ugly. Hi, Carrie. Great to see you. Vagal dysregulation is really, really painful because the vagus nerve is the thing that makes things slow down and calm down and to rest and digest. And if it stopped working like that, well, you don't get to slow down and calm down. You're just permanently in fight or flight. It's really stressful. And your body's just all the time, And that's just one way it can go wrong. I'm just thinking of someone I know who had that experience. So we're going to talk about the vagus nerve. We're going to talk about the microbiome. Who knew that the bugs in your gut actually control your mood? There's more and more evidence to show this is the case. Just as a side note, and I've found this in my own life, it's real. You feed your bugs the wrong food, then you get bad bugs, and they make you feel like, well, shit. So there is value in feeding your bugs the right food, but don't make some blanket assumption about what's the right food for you just because it was right for somebody else. Because, again, from people that I know who've worked with us for a long time and struggled to find just what it is that's right for them, it's very individual. It really can depend. You might actually need to get quite a detailed genetic analysis to find out, oh, that's what my body doesn't like. For me, it's quite simple. I don't think it's complicated for me, but for some people, they really need that depth of information to know, actually, this is the right food for me. And there is no diet that is right for everybody. period. In my opinion. That is my opinion. You can disagree with me, you're welcome. But the bugs in your gut, there's many, many varieties. It's just, it's like planet Earth, Think of all the different races and the different cultures and there's this great melting pot. Well, the microbiome is about as complicated. But it does respond to what you eat. It really does. But more than that, whatever bugs are there, they actually send signals to your body and say, I want this food. So you think it's you craving the sugar or the whatever it is. No, it's the bugs in your gut. You can actually work with that and change it. I'm just saying, the microbiome's a big deal. It's not just poop. Because, a lot of what exits our body is actually dead bacteria. They come from inside your gut. They play a really key role. So we've got to talk a little bit about that. The piece that I'm really excited about talking about is something that is only really beginning to be recognised, let alone understood. And I realised when I read about this, it's like, oh my God, this is what I do. And I like to have a word for what I do when I know things. And I do, often. The word is interoception. There is chemistry that goes on in our guts that, it tells, the gut knows what's going on from moment to moment. And, in this little place there's a bolus of food and it's digesting. In this little place there's nothing and it's not. And here, we've got some inflammation and we need to do something here. And here, there's an foreign invader. We need an immune response. It's really, it's got all this information that's going on in its own little system. But the gut also gets information from outside the gut. And I don't know how far science says that reaches, but my own experiences, certainly my heart gets information from around me. Certainly my brain gets information outside of what I know. And I think my gut does too. I think this interoception, the feelings you get inside your body and you just think, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something. There's a name for that. It's called interoception. So I'm really looking forward to exploring that and explaining it, because that is the feedback from the compass that says, hell, I don't know why, but I'm not going that way. It all makes sense. It should be perfect. And I had this happen a few weeks ago. Seriously. So I think it was just, it ticks all the boxes. This is perfect. I should do this. And I just got information. No, it's not the right moment. No. And I've learned to listen to that silent voice, so I didn't do it. This is what I'm really interested to learn about and to explain, and have the 0 Point field say to me, no, don't write it that way, write it this way. Because, I'm writing this with you. This is my voice, so you better write it my way, which I love to do because it's always better than I would say it. But this is how the gut compass works. And it isn't, in my experience, this isn't really a technique. I think it's something that once you're aware of it and you start paying attention and you listen and you feel and you notice the feedback and you ignore it, and then something happens and you think, oh, should I listen to that? And the next time you listen to it and then it turns out to be right and you think, oh, okay, that was the right thing to do. I think this is more of the trial and error that we talked about last week. But I think this is how the gut compass works for me. And it's just, you end up, when you realize that your brain and your gut talk to each other, it's like, oh, so my brain gets coherent, then it's going to send coherent signals to my gut, which is going to make that work better. And it's going to process its information better and give me more useful information in my brain. And my heart's in between. If that's more coherent, then they're all going to hook up and talk to each other. And of course, my body's going to run better. But there's this whole electromagnetic thing going on where I'm entangled with the entire universe, and all the information in the universe is actually present in one proton in my body. And maybe I can access more of that, because the more coherent I am, the more I resonate with the coherence that underlies the very structure of all the matter of my body and the universe. So maybe I can access more of that information and know what to do in my difficult situation. And practically, that is how it does work for me. So I'm really curious to know how we're going to explain it to everybody else. And geez, if I can teach it, what a ride that's going to be figuring it out. But that's what the 0 Point Field and I have been doing today. It's what we've been writing about. I'm looking forward to seeing where we are next week with it. If you're still here with me, thank you. I love that you join in and watch. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I will be back next week with another one. And if you want to hear me read what we wrote today, and you're not already following me for free on Patreon, well then click the link underneath this post. It'll take you there. You can follow for free. You can check out the things that I wrote last week and the week before about using your heart compass, because that's really useful and practical. And you can follow this journey yourself. So until next week, lots of love.